bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right, welcome, Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Tuesday, April 11th, 101 days into the new year, just 264 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet, I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Yeah, man. Tonight we have two very special guests with us. Mary Gabrielle and John Lund of Modern Masters are here. And you know, we are always about changing the game. The Game Changers. That's what we do here at Fade to Black. And Modern Masters is a game changer. Remember that. We're going to take you through the whole scenario tonight. You want to be a game changer? Listen to Mary and John and their team. Tomorrow night, Beth Leon joins the show. Thursday night is another Fader night with John Rappaport. His No More Fake Newsroom Live. Call-in numbers 323-825-5045. Follows on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Facebook, YouTube, everything is Fade to Black. Just go. Follow, like, and subscribe. The sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter, and that's what you want to do. We use TweetDeck, and we bust a few thousand tweets a night, or not we, you, the Fadernauts. You guys are amazing on Twitter. We've written the new book on Twitter, How to Use Twitter. That's us. Nobody does what we do on Twitter. They don't get it. They don't get it. Oh, man. I drive around during the day, and when I do, I listen to talk radio here, and I listen to, I'm not going to name names, but it's really funny when I hear these talk shows, follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Well, and you go and check out their Twitter feed or whatever, and they don't get it. They think it's just about followers. I don't understand. The reason to hang out here is to hang out with the family on Twitter. That's what we do. They don't get that. It isn't about how many followers you have. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about it but you. That's it. That's it. Well, the person saying it. Go follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter so you can come and hang out. It's an amazing thing. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. It's absolutely amazing what goes on with hashtag F2B every single night on this show. You want to find out? That's what you got to do. That's all that we're saying. And especially because we do so many things in Twitter for the show in real time, like post pictures and graphics and images and, of course, quote. And a lot of times the guests themselves that we have on the show are in Twitter. Like tonight, Modern Masters. John and Mary are hanging out in Twitter. I should tell John right now. John, post something in Twitter. Post. He's Modern Masters in Twitter. You can follow him. Okay. Any questions or comments during the show? Hashtag F2BQ. You can email throughout the show tonight, which is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. And I do get to as many of the emails. I got to tell you, Mark Tarana, that GIF is one of the most disturbing GIFs ever created on the net. That one right there. Is that why you guys post that when I say we don't bite? That's why you do that. Why don't you do like a piranha? A piranha would be cool. How about a GIF of Ted and Ted's teeth? Is that Hillary dancing? Who's she dancing with there? I can't even tell. That's got to be, what is that, Saturday Night Live? That's crazy. All right. Oh, man. All right. Breaking news happened right before the show. Seriously, the show must go on, and there's no doubt about that. But Jay Giles, the founder of the Jay Giles Band, was found dead at his home today in Massachusetts. The Jay Giles Band released their first album back in 1970, but their first big hit, Love Stinks, came in 1980, right as MTV started to take off. And they finally scored a number one hit with Centerfold in 1981. Huge video on MTV, huge. Freeze Frame, number one for 4 weeks, stayed on the chart for 70 weeks. And just to give you an idea how big the band was in the early 80s, the Eagles, U2, and Billy Joel all opened for the Jay Giles Band. Oh, man. Bummed out. Great band. And great player, great songwriter. Jay Giles, 71 years old. Lived it like he wanted to, no doubt. Took it all the way to the age of 71. Jay Giles, rest in peace. All right. Subscribe to our podcast. 600 archived shows. I think as of today, it's 640 to be exact. Custom apps, Apple, Android, all platforms, just $2 a month. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the podcast banner. The podcast includes commercials. You get your players, Apple, Android, and you can download the apps. Just go to the iTunes store or the Google store and search Fade to Black and download what you need. But it includes commercials, but it's only $2 a month, and we upload every single day. But we have our membership area, and the membership area is for Fadernauts. We have 4 levels of membership that go from free all the way to the Game Changer. So you can become a Fadernaut for free or go all into Game Changer, where you get all the goodies. But the membership area has commercial-free archives. Commercial-free. You get the Bunker Cam live every single night. What am I leaving out? Oh, if you go to Game Changer, and you get that, you get not only a T-shirt, a Fade to Black T-shirt, but you get an autographed Fade to Black embroidered baseball hat. And trust me when I say those things are cool. Those things are cool. They're not for sale. They're just for you game-changing Fadernauts. All right. Now, also, this show is supported by all of our sponsors. So click on all of our sponsors. Go and check out their products, Life Change Tea, getthetea.com. All the promo codes that you need are in the banners right there over on our website. River Moon Coffee is truly, I said it, River Moon Coffee. You know what that means. My goodness. That is the best coffee in the world. River Moon Coffee, Studio Dome speakers. This month, if you become a member over on our membership area, your name goes in the hat. That's right. We're giving away this month Studio Dome Bluetooth sound system, 2 SB-B2 speakers in a hard shell case, all the power cables ready to go, done, hi-fi Bluetooth stereo system. So go and become a Fade or Not. Go to our membership area, sign up today, whatever your flavor is. But the cool thing about becoming a subscriber is you get, if you go, and especially if you go yearly, right? If you go yearly and you become a game changer, but those are downloadable MP3s, commercial free. Take them on the road. No airtime needed. No. And there you go. Just load up and you can have Fade to Black wherever you want. So that it's just a great deal for you Fade or Nots. Okay. All right. Contact in the Desert coming up May 19th through the 22nd in Joshua Tree, California. I cannot believe it. It is 5 weeks away. May 19th through the 22nd. We'll be broadcasting Friday night, Fade to Black, live. 14 guests on the show from the Lotus Room. Saturday night, I'll be hosting the Forbidden Archaeology panel, where my panelists will be Graham Hancock, Robert Bivall, Robert Schock, Andrew Collins, Brian Forster, Carl Lehrberger, and that's going to be under the stars, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the amphitheater on Saturday night. And now I keep saying this, but Saturday night, 9 o'clock, right after that, Melinda Leslie's doing her night vision over at Orion's Lookout. So as soon as we're done with that panel Saturday night, boom, Fade or Nots, we're going to the cliff, and we're going to go see what's going on over there. And I really, really want a repeat of what happened last year over at Contact in the Desert. Absolutely incredible. This year's speakers include Jacques Vallée, Robert Bivall, Robert Schock, David Wilcock, George Norrie, Graham Hancock, Corey Good, Jim Mars, Giorgio Tsoukalos. Tsoukalos is going to be on the show with us next Monday night. Tsoukalos right here. Richard Dolan, Andrew Collins, Linda Moulton Howe, Whitley Strieber, Mike Barrett, David Sereda. Did I say Melinda Leslie? I did. And another 30 or 40 authors and researchers are going to be there. All right. The tickets and info, food, lodging, everything that you need over at jimmychurchradio.com. Just click on the Contact in the Desert banner. It's right there. Let's get the show cracking. Today, happy birthday to Jeremy Clarkson. Yeah, I did it. I said it. 57 years old. Former host of Top Gear. Now the host of Amazon's The Grand Tour. And I did it because, Jeremy kept me entertained for years. Not only the writing that he did in Top Gear magazine, which I thought was if you could find it here in the States, one of the great magazines. And his writing in there was hilarious. And his show, Top Gear, was great. The new one, The Grand Tour, I've seen all of 3 minutes of maybe 3 episodes. I haven't stuck it out. And it's right there, because I've got Amazon Prime and Netflix and all that stuff. And I haven't sat through a show. I haven't done it, but the original ones were good. I think we were all offended, one, about what he did to get fired, and B, that the BBC ended up firing him for it. So we were offended on both counts, but he was who he was, or he is who he is, and he speaks his mind. And I've always enjoyed that about Jeremy. Jeremy Clarkson, happy birthday today, 57 years old. On this day in history, it happened. Yep, on this day, Apollo 13 launched to the moon. And after an oxygen tank exploded on the evening of April 13th, however, the new mission objective, it changed. Changed from going to the moon to get the Apollo 13 crew back alive here at home. Happened on this day, 1970. Wow. Fate or fact? Everybody's talking about United Airlines, right? Well, I'm not going to hold back on that one either. More on that in just a minute. But when American Airlines broke a man's $4,500 guitar and refused to pay for it back in 2009, he wrote a protest song. And over the next 4 weeks, United's stock price fell 10%, costing stockholders at that time $180 million. United Airlines. Man. Everybody's calling for a boycott right now. Have you seen the video? Oh, man. All right, more on that in just a bit. But tonight we do have two very special guests. Mary Gabrielle and John Lund of Modern Masters are here. Tomorrow night, Beth Leone is going to be back on the show. Really looking forward to that. Thursday night is another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom live. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to talk about something that you probably know nothing about, and which is important. I like to say once in a while, you know nothing. I like saying it. You know absolutely nothing. Nothing. Did you know that the federal government has agreed to halt the use of M44 cyanide bombs? Now, did you know that the federal government was using M44 cyanide bombs in this country? Cyanide. Now, they use it to control predatory animals in Idaho. Now, it's nationwide. Well, again, let me clarify. They have them to use. Now, when and where and what they are used for, that's a whole nother situation. But listen to me. In Idaho, after a 14-year-old boy was injured and his dog killed by the device, by the M44 cyanide bomb. The 14-year-old boy is named Canyon Mansfield. He was knocked to the ground last month when an M44 predator-controlled device spewed cyanide gas into his face, and killed his dog. The family had no knowledge of the device, and it's set by the United States government some 350 yards from the Mansfield's house. 4 conservation and animal welfare groups also filed suit last week against the government over the use of M44s after a gray wolf, a protected species, was accidentally killed by the device in Oregon. In a letter Tuesday to conservation groups, the USDA's Wildlife Services Program, which kills thousands of predators across the country annually, said it was halting the use of the M44s on all private, state, and federal lands in Idaho. It remains unknown whether Wildlife Services will decide to permanently halt the use of M44s. Say what? Cyanide bombs! At least 19 conservation groups have filed a petition calling for the devices to be banned permanently. And of course, they should. In its letter, Wildlife Services informed the groups that the WS Wildlife Services will notify you 30 days prior to placing any new M44s in Idaho. Now, I very rarely yell and scream on this show. It's not my style. But sometimes I get angry. And I'm just like you. I'm just like you. And the thought of M44 cyanide bombs and what they are and how they work, I'm going to talk about in just a second. And that's going to scare the crap out of you. But in use in this country and that close to a family's home, I don't want to use the word outrage. It's just, first off, it's overplayed. And second, it's not enough. The M44s are known as coyote getters. Quotes. Let's do air quotes there. And they're designed to lure animals with a nice, sweet, smelly bait. And when the animal goes up and tugs on the device, and I'm not joking, a spring-loaded metal cylinder fires sodium cyanide powder into its mouth. The devices are placed on land by Wildlife Services, a little-known branch of the USDA tasked with destroying animals that they see as threats to people, agriculture, and the environment. Over the years, Thousands of non-target animals, wild and domestic, have been mistakenly killed by these lethal devices. Canyon Mansfield stumbled upon the unmarked device March 16th while running up a hill behind his parents' house in Idaho with his 3-year-old golden Labrador, Casey. When the M44 detonated, the boy watched his dog lay dying, suffocating from the orange-colored cyanide sprayed by the device. And since the incident, Canyon has experienced headaches, nausea, numbness, and has visited a neurologist for testing. The Mansfield dog's death follows a string of other recent incidents in which family pets and endangered species were accidentally killed by M44s. It's a frigging cyanide bomb. Anybody can go up, tamper with this, and then boom. Are you outraged? Are you a little pissed off right now? You should be. Now, what is the alternative here? Just tell me, what is the alternative? Are we really thinking that there are going to be packs of man-hunting predators running around, taking down small children? Some zombie apocalypse, predatory animals? Please. And if that really happens, pack of coyotes, invading a neighborhood near you, okay, we'll go to the next. But M44 cyanide bombs, for real? No. The government, meanwhile, has called the accidental death of family pets from M44s a rare occurrence. It should be a never occurrence. The reason why they have occurred is because the M44s are there. Let's stop playing politics. They said that the Wildlife Services posts signs and issues other warnings to alert pet owners when traps are placed near their homes. Well, it didn't happen here. So there you go. I don't know what to do. Before I say, you need to write your congressman or you need to get involved public, that kind of stuff is useless. But I don't know what else to do. It's sad that their dog Casey had to die, but what about Canyon? He's right there, man. He got blasted with cyanide. Ugh. All right. I'm going to move on to the other frightening story of the day. United Airlines. The CEO of United, Oscar Munoz, has issued a stronger apology about a passenger, Dr. David Deo, 69, of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, who was dragged off a United Express flight, calling the Sunday afternoon confrontation, I'm quoting here, truly horrific. Oscar Munoz said in a statement that he issued today that he continues to be disturbed by the events that unfolded at Chicago O'Hare, adding that no one should ever be mistreated this way, end quote. Yeah, they yank your kids, yank you off a plane like that, your tone would be a little bit different, mister. Munoz was widely criticized for two statements that he made yesterday about the altercation, in which he described the 69-year-old man taken off the plane as disruptive and belligerent. Well, overnight, American Airlines stock dropped $800 million. Now, I'm just going to say this. You watch that video. Okay, let me talk about overbooking. Overbooking a flight and that system that has been allowed to happen. Anytime you've stepped up and they go, no, sorry, no seats, it's overbooked. What do you mean overbooked? So that means somebody is going to join me here trying to get on this flight that we're booked on, but we can't because you've overbooked it. Now, they want to make sure that every seat is filled. All right, I get that. So sell every seat. People don't show up. That's your problem. That's the person's problem that couldn't make it. Maybe they had an emergency, financial thing, family problem. Maybe their car had a flat tire. Maybe they couldn't afford gas in their car. Maybe they don't need the flight anymore. Whatever it is, that's on you. That's not on me. I don't need to have overbooking be made my problem. So this is where I have the big issue. If you manage to get through the door and sit in a seat, that's yours. You got squatters' rights. That's it. The deal is closed. If anybody is late getting to the flight, that's it. You can't take somebody off the flight. You can't do that. He was there on time. She was there on time. They sat down. They got the seat. Eminent domain, man. That's it. You just sit your butt down. Squatters' rights. The way they took that guy off the plane, that guy, it was exactly right. I don't care about his background. I don't care about who he is. I don't care if he's a puppy killer. I don't care. He sat down in that chair. He was there first. And that's it. And if you ask for volunteers, nobody wants to volunteer, it's case closed. Get off the plane, close the door, let the plane take off. That's it. You've all heard it. We'll give you a $500 voucher. We'll give you $100 right now if you give up your seat. Nobody wants to give up their seat? Then it's done. You made your offer, and nobody took it, and that's it. You don't go on to a plane and physically remove somebody. It cannot be legal. And I really hope that video, I'm not joking about this. I'll never fly United again. And I used to fly United almost exclusively. I'll never fly United again. And I know that the backlash from this and from that video is going to be something that United will not be able to overcome. As big of a company as that is, you have to have people buying tickets. Knowing that that's how you treat your customers. It's incredible. All right. Man, that's it. I'm off my soapbox. But man, I just got angry tonight. Sometimes I just get angry. United Airlines, Oscar Munoz. I mean, a bad PR nightmare for them, but he's asked for all of it. You cannot. There is no way that he would stand for a member of his family or himself or his wife getting yanked off a plane like that. Wouldn't happen. Think about that. His niece, nephew, grandchild yanked off a plane. Please. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Modern Masters. Mary Gabrielle, John Lund, Game Changers. I'll be right back. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. Let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply and, of course, the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthetea.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic, and very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Again, getthetea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Klutsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station where the Fader-Knots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Manson. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Tonight we have two very special guests with us. Mary Gabrielle and John Lund of Modern Masters are here. Tomorrow night, Beth Leone joins the show, and Thursday night is another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. Modern Masters. It's a game changer. We're going to talk about that tonight. Mary Gabrielle graduated with a degree in Humanities in 1990 from Brigham Young University. When she began receiving messages from an unseen source, these dreams and messages were insistent that she find the chosen and initiate the great gathering. Now, at that time, she had been directing a private school for young children. As her own spiritual ideas were expanding, she was eager to find a way to share the concepts of magic and the great variety of world cultures with children. She began to produce a children's magazine called The Little Folk. The magazine was intended to share metaphysical ideas with kids, and it successfully combined her love for childhood education with evolving spiritual principles. Mary's dreams continued, and in 2008 she launched the Immortals Project. She did this to reach the kind of people she'd seen in the early visions. For several years, she worked to develop her ideas about what the gathering would look like. It was clear that such a project would need to provide an interactive and comprehensive spiritual network in order to succeed. With the birth of the Modern Masters Project, the ideas pertaining to the gathering have found a home. Through the implementation of current technology and by having a core team committed to bringing the project alive, the dreams Mary had so long ago can finally emerge. I would like to welcome, for the first time, to Fade to Black, Mary Gabrielle. Mary, good evening. How are you?
Hello, Jimmy. Very, very well, thank you.
Now, Mary, welcome to the show. You've got a great project going here. As you know, we've tried to force our way into being involved with it for quite some time, and you're a member of the family, as is all of the Modern Masters team. But that being said, this is the first time that you've been on the show, which means you get the first-time guest disclaimer. Are you ready?
Good. Yeah.
It's called live radio, Mary. Just relax. It's this. This is the disclaimer. The disclaimer is, this is just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. Where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends. But we're going to end as friends. Are you ready to go?
I am. Sounds fun.
Now, you have, I've been speaking to members of your team for a long time, Rita and I, and they all speak so highly of you. And this is the first time, I'm going to let everybody know, this is the first time that Mary and I have talked, and which is kind of strange, isn't it? Because we've heard so much about each other. Tell me that you've heard nothing but good things, right?
I certainly have.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But it's strange, isn't it, that this is our first conversation, so we get to do this together. But your life is an interesting one. And here, I just laid it out for everybody right now, live on the radio. And how does that make you feel to hear about these personal aspects about you and your life, to be read out to the public, and this is what your life is about? How does that make you feel? Do you feel strange, or do you feel good about it?
It is a little strange, but you did such a good job. I felt better about my life just hearing it. You were great.
Now, you've got a team of young, smart, talented people working with you on this project. Do you feel like the team leader? Do you feel like the guidance? Do you feel like the wise one?
I think my spiritual input is a guiding factor, but I really can't compete with John's technical knowledge,
right,
and Dana and the other young people, their connection to what's current. I try to stay current, but it's still a different vibration when it comes, directly from the age group. So I don't see myself really as an overall leader, just a specialist in some of the areas, maybe.
Yeah, what's up with kids these days? They're really smart, aren't they?
They are.
They are, aren't they?
Are.
I mean, you and I are the same age, right? So let's go back a few years to when you and I were like 20. We weren't dealing with these things, were we? It was another.
I don't think so.
It was a simple.
But I think that's part of the picture. Is I really do believe we're seeing an influx of very special kids coming.
Yes, and for you to be able to be open to the technology, right? Because that's the key thing here. Because you could go the other way. You could just write books, or maybe speak publicly, right? You could do that, the traditional way of doing things. Or you can embrace the technology and work with the technology and expand and market yourself and your experiences with that. I'm correct in phrasing it that way, aren't I?
Well, absolutely, because this really isn't so much about me. I think people are curious about me, and I'm happy to share as much as they want to hear, but the project is about them, the other people, the chosen, the people called to become part of this. And so because of that, they need something built for them that will work for their interactions and for their future. So it wouldn't really be a complete project to just tell the story or write the books. It definitely needs a platform that can be utilized by numerous people.
Now, the game itself, and we're calling it a game. Well, I guess it is a game, but the game is active. It's playable, and everybody can go and check it out right now over at modernmasters.org. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Take a browse through. The website is thorough, complete. It's comprehensive. Everything is there, and you are able to get a pretty good idea of what the goals are with the game. But that being said, right there, the goals of the game came from you and your experiences and your visions and your dreams. And I want to back up. We need to really be clear about where all of this is coming from. So, Mary, I want to know about your childhood. I want to know about your parents. Were they into the paranormal? Did you have an open discussion with these subjects growing up? What was your mom like? What was your dad like?
They were not into the paranormal, but they were very respectful and open-minded about discussing things. And so I really was raised in an educated and just a wonderful childhood. I was raised in great surroundings, that respected my voice as a child. And I could ask any question I wanted. I was an avid reader, so, you know, my imagination was pretty big. And so my background was very healthy. I was very blessed with a wonderful childhood and very supportive parents. They were quite conservative, pretty traditional, but as I say, just open and very supportive.
Did you have any paranormal? Did you have any paranormal experiences as a child?
I did. I probably had many more than I can remember, but you know, I have maybe my earliest. Now, I do come from a family of dreamers. On my mother's side, they didn't really tell we used to sit around and hear Grandma's dreams, and she'd repeat great-grandma's dreams that had come true. And so even though I wouldn't classify them as paranormal, there was a strong spirituality in the family, and I did have a lot of dreams as a child. But I think one of the first most dramatic experiences that happened to me occurred when I was around 8. And my parents had left for the day, and I was going to stay with some friends down the street, and we were busy little kids riding bikes, just charging all around. And I got the brilliant idea to race home to my house and go get a game we wanted to play. So we were, you know, going on our bikes at full speed and went down our driveway and launched off our bikes, and we're running towards the front door. I had the key to it because, of course, everything was locked up, when I just felt like I was hitting a wall, just this really dark, heavy feeling. And I stopped, and I put my arm out to stop my friend, and I said, "We can't go any farther. Turn around. We have to go away right now." And so we did, and I was very firm, and of course she's laughing. "What are you talking about?" Because we didn't have anything like, you know, paranormal on our minds. And the day went on. We were down at her house, and it went on, and it was way past the time my parents were due to arrive. And finally I asked her, "Mother, can I go home yet?" And I finally was summoned and got back home, and it turned out that people had broken in our house, and they had left a letter that they were going to kidnap me. And so in frustration, they had broken all kinds of things and whatnot. And I think that sticks in my mind as a very powerful experience that I think anyone could experience.
Wow.
So it's those kinds of things that just kept occurring throughout my life, and I just had to start, I had to listen. It was too obvious not to listen. So
Did you tell your parents about this?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And what did they say?
Again, I don't even remember their reactions being anything unusual, or they would have never shown disrespect to me, and they just listened and probably thought it was interesting too. They did have a respect for these kind of supernatural events, even though they themselves would not have dwelled on them or started out on a search to know more.
Now, you went to Brigham Young, and you got your degree, and I think that most people look at you started to have these messages from an unseen source. Did this happen while you were attending Brigham Young?
No, they started later in life. I had a series of things that did happen, just kind of like the story I just told you, but different types of things that maybe prepared me to be a better listener to intuitive messages. And looking back, I remember I had one time period in my 20s where I just kept having premonitions come true. And they were small things, little things, like someone would stop by with apples, and 3 hours later someone would bring apples over. And my mother was saying, "Mary, why? Maybe you shouldn't even dwell on these things. They don't matter anyway. What do they matter?" And many years later, I came to the conclusion that they mattered because they taught me how to listen.
Right.
I had to learn how to discern imagination from messages, and it was very powerful. And it took many years, a lot of years. It wasn't overnight. So the actual dreams that pertain to the gathering and what we want to discuss tonight really did not happen until my late 30s.
Well, and plus, that particular school is looked upon as being fairly conservative, right? If you know what I mean.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so even if something, and certainly these premonitions, you wouldn't discuss this with your classmates, would you? This is something that you would have to learn on your own.
Right. Well, I did, when I first arrived, I started out at USC, actually, and then I moved and changed to BYU, and when I got there, I started having these dreams about my roommates, and they kept coming true, and it became so strong, and that they started saying, "Don't tell us, it's just freaking us out, don't tell us these things." And I can't claim that I can get these things on demand. It seems to have a rhythm all of its own, and I'll just go through 2 weeks of all these premonitory experiences, and then they'll be gone. So I didn't know how to really build on any of that at the time. And so, that was kind of the extent of that. And then I did go into a hiatus. I married early and had David and John, and this wasn't really supported. These kinds of things weren't really supported in that marriage. And I was also very busy, young children and starting a school and other things. So there was this gap in time where kind of the magic wasn't part of my life. But it recurred and came on strong when I was in my late 20s.
I can only imagine going from USC to Brigham Young. That right there is a game changer.
Yes, I loved USC. I wasn't so sure about BYU. But, of course, it provided a good education.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. We'll let that go. Everybody knows what you and I are referring to. I mean, it can't be more of opposites, right?
Right.
So anyway, now you do start to have these dreams and these messages. What were they, and were you controlling them, and who were you speaking to?
Wow, that's a lot of questions. I think once things started opening back up, I was probably late 20s, 29, and I just began to get different messages. And I always I would have dreams where somehow they would feel like who I began to call the teachers, and they were very different than maybe a small intuition that came to me during the day. So I would say there were multiple sources of, for these intuitive type messages coming through. And I felt it at the time. I experienced nearly dying with my first birth, and I felt it was ancestors that came, kind of an unusual experience there. So, I don't think it's just one source. For some reason, when I think of the source of the gathering information, I use the term they. So it does have an overarching feeling of maybe 2 or 3 people in charge of something, It's pretty nebulous, but you get kind of a gut feeling about it.
And how do you know, how did you feel the difference between just a normal dream and something else that, has a message to it or an instruction or some teaching is going on? How could you tell the difference? How do you know that you just weren't having a whacked out dream?
Believe me, I'm the biggest skeptic, and it took years to even listen.
Right.
And that's how bad I am at paying attention. I had just come off the tail end of a pretty significant series of unusual events prior to the gathering starting up. I had been awakened with a dream that I was walking down the street and going to enter a home, and a young man came out and said, no, you're going the wrong direction. You have to see my aunt, Anne, and you must go. And then as I was turning to go, he said, you'll know her because she's one of the sisters. And that was the series that started that was all about the sisters. And this spanned probably, I want to say, a year. I would go out of town, and I would just, run into the bathroom to be brushing my hair at a motel, and I'd hear this, you got to see the sisters. Just it just was an insistent series of this instruction. And lo and behold, at the conclusion of this, and I'm just really, condensing this down for time's sake, but I had been working on a very, very unique reading program for children. I had gathered things up over 10 years, and they were very individualized. And one day, I just surrendered to the sisters' idea. I was living in Phoenix, and I called up a convent. There was one convent list. I didn't know really where to turn. I was like, well, that's all I can think of is the sisters. And I tried to talk to this man. Said to me, we've actually just turned into a convent. We were a monastery. Oh, that's it. It was a monastery. And he said, we actually have just turned into a convent, but no one is here to talk to you. I will have the abbess call you. And I hung up and thought, oh dear, what have I gotten myself into? And I remember the next day I was struggling with the key and had bags of groceries in my hand and was coming through the door, and the answering machine came on, and she said, Mary, this is Abbess Ann. I've received your message from my nephew and thought I should return your call. And it just gave me the chills because it harkened back to this dream a year earlier about this person referring me to his Aunt Ann and the sisters. Well, it turned out I got very close to her and another sister there, and we began discussing. She wouldn't let me come at first. She said, we're not an open convent.
Right.
But on the phone, I began discussing my reading program. Lo and behold, she had designed an almost identical reading program. And she said, I think you better come see us. And in those talks with her, there was no room for any coincidence. I'm sparing all kinds of details here, but it was so individualized it could never have been.
Now, this is interesting because, and for the listeners, now they're hearing a religious Catholic, right? Catholic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
they were Catholic.
A Catholic bend on this, but that is not the case. Modern Masters, and what ultimately came from all of this, deals with all aspects of the esoteric and the paranormal and fantasy type scenarios as well, right? And so,
this had nothing to do. Right. This has led me to the next stage. Absolutely.
Right. What I don't want the audience to go is, what the heck is church talking about? Is this from the Vatican? Is this game from the Vatican? No, it's not.
No.
But very interesting that you were told to go speak with the sisters and Anne and indeed Anne and the sisters in the convent of all things. You thought it was arbitrary, right? You thought it was arbitrary.
Yeah. I had no clue what this would be about. Honestly, we were talking on the phone 30 minutes before we hit on this reading project. And what happened was I needed a printer. And she said, this is so interesting because she said, we're in charge of this whole region's newsletter and we have a full room of printers. And I said, she said, you're coming to see us. We might be able to collaborate on this reading program. So as we met and began to work on the reading program, which, of course, again, had nothing to do with religion, I got this idea that to advertise the reading program, I would start this little metaphysical newsletter for children. In fact, that came in a dream, too. A few weeks into working with the sisters, I had a dream, and I saw a magazine called The Little Folk in my dream. And so I woke up and designed the Little Folk magazine, which was all about, stories about dreams or ghosts, and then I included one world culture in each thing. And so this was born in order to advertise the reading program. But when I sent the magazine out, no one cared about the reading program. They just wanted the magazine.
Well, and that's my question. How were the parents, because you are directing a private school for kids, right? And
I was.
And here's our director. She's writing books about ghosts for our children.
Well, this was after I had closed the school and I was out of state.
Okay. So the Little Folk didn't happen at the same time you're directing the school. I can only imagine the soap opera behind that. But you did have these spiritual ideas. You had these concepts of magic and world cultures. Did the other parents pick up on what you were into, or did you keep all of that private?
Well, actually, it happened later because when I was doing the school, my focus really was on the education, and we started becoming known as a gifted school because the children were scoring so well on the national tests and reading at very early ages. So I'm just huge on this. This is one of my big soapboxes, is to educate our youth so that they can think for themselves. This is huge for me. And so the school, really, there was not any hint of metaphysical, and I wasn't even living in that world yet. I was in my 20s running the school. And so this later happened with a change, and I had closed the school, I moved out of state, but I still had this marvelous reading program that could be taught to parents so they could teach their own children to read, and that's what I had started marketing. So at the time this little dream sequence and things happened regarding the sisters, I had no longer any contact with a formal school setting.
How did the little folk do?
Well, my life has been a series of kind of ideas catching on huge, and then me not having the know-how how to keep up with it. So the little folk was very similar. We sent out this mass marketing about it and 900 sample magazines to editors and stores. And I just started getting letters immediately. I had people calling me from Australia requesting all the distribution rights. I had a woman call who is, I don't know if she's still doing it, but she was publishing a very large pagan magazine at the time. And she said, I will teach you everything. She said, this has come across my desk. It's lovely. You have the makings of a real magazine here, and there's nothing else like it. And I just had really powerful and wonderful responses. And then I just didn't have the funding to do the printing. I was very naive about it. I didn't want to fill a magazine up with advertising, and certain things happened in my life, and it kind of took a back burner, So we had this huge surge of enormous receptivity and agreement. It was needed and everything, and then it just needed funding for follow-up and different things. And so I just didn't do much more with it at that time. It did have a little resurgence later, but that whole series of events is what led me to try and trust the gathering.
And we have to take a break right here, Mary. But when we come back, we're going to talk about the Chosen, the Gathering, and of course, the launch of the Immortals Project. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Mary Gabrielle. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We're talking about modern masters, real game changers on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Kat Deely, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring two Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boom boxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you? You don't even look like the same person." He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code TALK.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Life Change Tea. Just go right now by clicking on the banner right now over at jimmychurchradio.com for getthetea.com. Just mention Jimmy when you order, either over the phone or online, and you're going to get yourself some free shipping. Just go to the specials page. Now, a note about tonight's show and also the future and what the Game Changer Network and Fade to Black is all about. We want to introduce people that are changing the game, groups that are changing the game, real game changers. And it can be from any walks of life. But that's what this network is all about. And more on that in the future. We're working really aggressively at this to introduce to the world real game changers. And tonight we're starting that tradition right now with Modern Masters. And our guests tonight are Mary Gabrielle and John Lund. And more with Mary. Mary, right before the break, we did bring up The Chosen and The Gathering and these messages that were very insistent with you that you go and find them. And then you launched the Immortals Project. So for everybody right now, we've been talking about The Chosen and the Great Gathering, but we haven't defined it. Who are The Chosen?
Well, I think that the chosen are people who feel they're here to significantly change the world. And I know it's a trite phrase that gets overused, but as we go on and we see more about the background of this, it will become a little more refined concept. And it incorporates magic or spirituality in kind of a new way. And so that might be the variable that distinguishes it from other change the world groups. And so they're really actually, my vision portrayed them as they're going to save the world. So it's very dramatic and very meaningful to me. And so I think they recognize themselves. I've already had that. If we talk about it, that will reveal itself that they know who they are.
Well, and what's interesting here is our audience, which is it's large, and I get that, but we have attracted a hive mind, right? We, everybody is on the same page here, and That's a very interesting concept for you, which is behind this game and your team, because that's exactly what our audience is about. And I find that interesting. So now let's go on to The Gathering.
Okay, well, I had just come off of this long tail of events that probably spanned a year and a half that had to do with my magazine and the sisters. So I formed a little bit of trust for these strange messages that would wake me up in the night. And at the tail end of that happening and kind of working on the magazine here and there, I began to have a similar situation. And I would get awakened with the message, the gathering. You have to start the gathering. It needs to start now. And that was it. I mean, it's a simple message. I would just hear it, just like I heard you must go see the sisters, in the prior. And I had things prior to that too, but that was the most recent that was, coming to mind. And so at the time, I don't know, I had other things going on and trying to do real jobs and raise kids. And so I just kept pushing it aside because it sounded a little too, I don't know, it kind of sounded like Magic the Gathering, the card game or something. It just had a feeling to me that I don't know what that is. So I really shoved it aside for many months. In fact, I was looking back at a timeline I worked out here, and I think it was more like years, maybe a couple years. And so finally, they just wouldn't relent. These nights where I would get awakened by this instruction became closer and closer together. So I want to say almost 2 years after it first started, I finally went in a dark room by myself and said, all right, what do you have to tell me? And that's when it just was like a download of information. It probably happened faster than, it probably took about an hour, but when you have dreams or anything like this, you get more than just the images. You get kind of holistic feelings. And I just began to see faces of children, and then I would see them grown up, sitting behind a desk, and then I would see another face, and I would see a place on a map, and it just started coming in that way. And they explained to me, these are the children that you need to gather because they're going to save your world. They are coming in, and they have gifts. They have spiritual gifts, and they need to be gathered together so they can do what they came to do. And so it just went on and on. I had a lot of visions about it, but if you wanted to just break down the message to the bottom line, that was it. It was very powerful. It was so powerful, I shoved it aside again. I was like, right, I'm going to do this. No, I think this is a delusion. I shoved it aside. It was several more months before I would take it and run with it.
Now, tell us, so the dreams continue. 2008, you launched the Immortals Project, which was your first crack at, for lack of a better way to put it, about your ideas about the gathering. Tell us about the Immortals Project.
Okay, I do want to back up a little because it was more like the third crack. I tried to launch this, and amazing things would happen. I think the first attempt to honor the dreams and go for this came about more like in, I want to say 97. And I remember we were all sitting, it was such a new era for, all things internet. And we were sitting around, and we had a great guy who was technically savvy on databases, and he was building all kinds of things for the magazine and things. But we had no ability to construct a website. And we were sitting around the table, and none of us knew how to do this. 3 or 4 volunteers that were on board with me to help. And I pounded the table, and I said, what we need is a website. And the phone rang, and a woman was calling me who said, is this Mary Gabrielle? I said, yes. She said, I'm calling about your magazine. I said, okay. And she said, my friend from across the country called me today and insisted I talk to you. And she said, but I have no idea why, because my children are too old. They're not in the age group for your magazine. And I said, oh, well, I understand that. And she said, so I don't know why I'm calling. I said, I don't know either. And within 5 minutes, we talked a little, and she said, I wonder if there's anything else I'm supposed to do or know. I said, I don't know. And she said, you don't happen to need a website, do you? And I said, we do. And she said, well, I'm the webmaster for Honeywell. And if you want to meet me tomorrow, I'll have a website up for you in 24 hours.
Wow.
These were happening every other day.
Right.
I couldn't walk around without these kinds of things happening. And so we did it again. I pulled it up and off the ground. And again, we didn't have a structure in place. People would call so much to be a part of it that were so ready to do pretty large things. And I didn't have anywhere to put them. I had no system. I had nothing in place. And so it kind of folded up again because of that. The second time I started it was, I want to say maybe 6 years later or 5 years later. And I have struggled with some illness problems. I was very, very ill, and I thought, I'm just not going to live long. And I went to bed that night and had just a night long of dreams, and they said, why not do what you came to do? Because even if you die doing it, you will have honored your calling. And I dragged myself out of bed the next morning, and I went and got a little GoDaddy website template. And they told me, if you will get 10 people, we'll do the rest. So, it's not get people, it's more that find people that are looking for you, looking for this project. I launched that little website, and I remember John was visiting me, teenager, trying to be supportive, and he was in the living room, and my other son was there, and I walked out with the 10th application. I said, we have 10. It was very meaningful. And so, again, it was marvelous. Communications were coming in. People were very interested, but I didn't know what to do with them other than listen and talk, and we share. But I knew the second part of this project was for a real working system so that it wasn't just about talking. It went beyond talking. It changed the world. We really had to do this. So, again, it went down. Third time running. Probably between 2006, 2008, I felt defeated. I never let the project go. It was in my heart, but I didn't know what to do. And I kept getting a new little series of dreams prompting me, this has to be done. And I remember one night I woke up with one of those. And I had designed this old wobbly website. I hadn't paid attention to it in years. I wasn't getting any emails from it in years, any, when people sign up, new members or anything. And I said to them that night, if you will send one person, if there is one person still interested in this, I will start work all over again. And the next morning I woke up, and in my email, I had designed a form that they had to send in where there was a place for their name, a place for their phone number, a place for their address, blah, blah. And in each line, the number 1 was there.
Oh, really?
So.
Now that's trippy. I'll admit that's a trip.
Yeah. I'm telling you.
That had to yeah, man. Okay, so that had to make you feel pretty good, but now you got to roll up the sleeves. You made a deal. You made a deal, didn't you?
Yep, I did. I worked probably 16-hour days. I was feeling a little better at that time. That was the biggest launch I had done so far. I upgraded the website, which is now still there. I started a forum. I started a meetup group. I put myself on Facebook. I did, all these things. But I was a one-man show. And I decided to advertise and launch YouTube videos. These letters started coming in by the hundreds. I couldn't keep up with the letters. And, I love all these people. I mean, this is a real personal connection you're establishing, and they want to hear from me, and I want to talk to them. But the hours in the day wouldn't even permit it. And these were pretty remarkable letters. These were, remarkable people writing in with a lot of psychic talent. And I couldn't get to them. It was overwhelming. And I thought, how am I going to do this when I can't even answer the letters, let alone what do I do? How do I group them? How do we move forward? What do I do?
So what did you do?
It kind of folded up again. I spent several months that time and worked on it and had such high hopes. John helped me around the edges. We got sites up and working. I had a volunteer help me. We started some great communications. Health was a challenge, and working alone day and night and not knowing what to do next. How did I expand this? I couldn't do it alone. And there wasn't the funding to bring in to hire, people that could do it. So I never leave this project. It's just woven into my soul. I live with it, but I go through periods where I don't do much with it because of these setbacks. And then out of the blue, I don't know, I want to say maybe a year ago, John came and said, Mom, I want to do Modern Masters. And his skill and his life experience and his take on everything is like, giving me the third leg of a stool. It could work now.
The layout that John had for you, obviously he had been around you and these previous projects and, of course, influenced by that. But the layout and the vision that he presented to you, did it fill the request that you were getting from your messages? Did it fill those gaps, and did you feel pretty good about it?
We have gone through some changes already, and we work together really nicely, and Dana is marvelous too, and we make a good team. We balance each other out. I think I have some reservations about some of the initial ideas, and John has some reservations about mine, and we just kind of hammer through those. But I think we're really on the same page. I think 90% of our goals are the same, maybe more than that. I mean, and I want my, because I'm so personally invested in this, and it's gone on for so many years, and I've had so many direct conversations with the people. I've had people write and say, I dreamed about you a week before I saw your video. I've had a young man wrote and said, I almost killed myself, and the night I was going to do it, I saw your video. I mean, this has been living in my life for 20 years.
Right.
I've had little children, 2 or 3 years old, leave their moms in a parking lot and run over to me and say, I'm one of yours. It's just these 20 years are so full of phenomena. It's hard to get in the short time. So my heart is very much dedicated to reaching people personally and helping them see, are you one of us? Are you one of these people I saw? And then helping them know, then this is for you. And John's had the responsibility to build this elaborate and complex system. So his focus sometimes tends to be on explaining that system. And so we're a good balance for each other because one can't exist without the other. I've already, had my 3 tries, and we need this system to help it be sustainable. So we do come at it from slightly different viewpoints, but that's a good thing.
I like the way you said complex, because it is complex. But the reason why it needs to be that today, gaming today is very sophisticated, right? Gamers expect a lot. It doesn't necessarily, well, there are the gamers that want the extreme video side of it, right? The resolution of this and the realistic. Then you want other ones that are only interested in, or less interested in the visuals, but are more interested in brain activity, right? They want it to be very complex. Right. There are other games out there that were hugely successful that I played a lot of I've done all the platforms, but that didn't have any shooting at all. There was no death, right? There was nothing in the game, right? You didn't see another human being, but yet I'm speaking of like Uru Mist or something like that.
Yeah.
That went against the grain, but were hugely successful because they were thought provoking and caused the imagination to take off. So Modern Masters has a chance here to appeal to just about everybody, but in today's gaming world, a lot is expected out of a game today. No matter which flavor you want to go in, you've got to bring your A game today, don't you? And that's part of the challenge. It's got to be complex.
Yes, it is. It is. And also, I think it is what we've done is we've gamified the process by using game elements, but it's a very real world we're going to be creating. So I don't know if it can even be called a game in the traditional sense, or if the expectations should exactly match up to a quote gamer's expectations.
Right.
It's the elements of a game that will move the project along. It's more like that. It's we are going to let people design their avatar, but it's really them. It's using their imagination about their past, the possible past life, their bloodline, their soul line, to create this avatar, but it's really them. So what we're going to end up with in the end is an alternative reality that coexists.
And one of the things, and we're going to get into the game here a little more in depth right after this next break, but you just touched upon, I think, one of the most important aspects of the game. The avatar that you create, and everybody can go right now, modernmasters.org, and check it out. The game is up, running. You can play the game, and you can become a member. I do want to announce. I was going to save this for John, but you know what, Mary? I'm just going to do this for me right now. Okay. You get 3 months free if you become a member with both the ally and the mentor levels with the code F2BACON. Is that case sensitive? I'm wondering if it is. F2BACON. Hey, John, let me know on Twitter if that's case sensitive. And I want everybody to go and register and get your avatars going, which is my next point. You want your avatar to be you, right? You don't, as opposed to other games where, if I'm going to go and create my avatar, I'm going to do something the opposite of me. I want somebody badass, muscle bound, right? Good looking, all of that stuff. But you want people to be honest, and to take full advantage of what's going on here is to design the avatar around yourself.
Right, because you're going to be able to find others by sorting through the various fields. So let's say you feel you're a shaman. You can search, and this is going to be built into the system. It's not quite there yet, but we're going to be able to search for other shamans. So you'll be able to relate to people who share kind of the version of magic that you prefer. So you're welcome to create anything you want, but the most satisfying experience and the most long-lived experience inside the Modern Masters reality will be to do some introspection and bring yourself to the game. Yeah. And
explain the paths that you choose and what is behind the assignments that players get.
Okay, well, we're at a very beginning phase here, and John has named it very aptly the prologue. And so this is kind of like chapters to a book, and we'll be adding chapters. So it will get deeper, it will get more complex, and all kinds of things will develop as the book proceeds. But you have this beginning phase called the prologue. So to just, wet your whistle and get a taste of this, you would choose one of the 5 beginning paths. And they appeal to different needs and different people, and you can always do another one. Once you've completed through one, you can go back and do another one. So there's a lot of fluidity at this point. One of the paths is the Avatar's Trail, and that's specifically for people who are fascinated by versions of magical and magical systems. So people may be inside of Wicca or pagan or even just the law of attraction type, people attracted to that. Reality creation techniques, any kind of magic, wizardry. People that like role-playing scenarios might be attracted to the Avatar's Trail, so they would work down that path first. Then another one's the Bridge of Beloved, and this is about relationships, and not just love, but love and soulmates is a very powerful thing. And I truly believe that one reason people don't find their true soulmates is they're looking and they're not meeting people of the same vibration. So people who are going to resonate to this project, they share an underlying vibration from the get-go. So if you join Bridge of Beloved, you'll be working in all kinds of relationship situations and developing our alternative social clusters and social society. So that's another avenue you could go down. There's the Path of Destiny. This is for the type of people who really are fervent about change, seeing change brought to the world. And maybe they're conspiracy theorists. Maybe they are on to what the world's trying to pull over our eyes, what the globalists want to do. And they're a little more warrior in instinct. And they want to get out there and they want to do something real and incorporate some spiritual magical principles in their work. But they're still pretty, they're pretty earthy and ready to fight the fight. So they would probably choose that Path of Destiny. Then there's the Lotus Circle. This is going to appeal to the creators and the artists and the technical people. And they will be given a path that leads them down, enhancing their natural talents and maybe utilizing their talents and their skills inside the project. And finally, we have the Arc of the Dreaming. It's a path that's a little more ARG-oriented. So it's going to follow a storyline that will come back and forth inside Modern Masters and give a fictionalized version of things we actually really believe in.
Did you just
those are the 5 paths in the prologue. But there are many more paths to come. There are paths that are going to be built just for the soul, each individual soul line, paths for your elements. So there's many more paths to come. These are just the beginning.
Did you just say globalist? Did I hear you say globalist?
Oh yeah, they got to go. They've got to be taken down. This is the way we're going to do it. Absolutely.
I absolutely love it. The game is Modern Masters. Our guests tonight, 2. Mary Gabrielle and John Lund of Modern Masters are with us. True game changers. It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Mary right after the break. Stay with us. Go check it out, modernmasters.org right now. I'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hey there, quick question for you. Would you be okay with more energy, more endurance, thicker, healthier hair, a better mood, reduced appearance of wrinkles, improved sleep, improved blood pressure and cholesterol profiles, improved vision, improved memory? Okay then. Well now, have you heard of Nature's Youth RSF? It's from the anti-aging experts at nature'syouth.com. Nature'syouth.com. See, at Nature's Youth, they understand exactly what it means to provide top quality health products. And Nature's Youth customers not only improve their health, they know they're also providing their body with the right nourishment to maintain that peak performance and fight the aging process. If health, wellness, and nutrition are what you desire, choose Nature's Youth RSF. I did. You see, you're going to get older. It's just up to you how you feel when you get there. Get started today. Nature's Youth RSF. Simple to use, simple to order. Go to nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com.
I was introduced to this remarkable product, Balance of Nature Fruits and Veggies, and to say it's amazing is an understatement. Balance of Nature provides the nutrients of 9 to 11 servings of 31 different whole ripened fruits and veggies per day, and the cost to the consumer for 9 to 11 servings is about 22 cents per serving, as opposed to over $1 in the store. Balance of Nature Fruits and Veggies helps boost the immune system by over 720%, and they also provide a health coach for you at no charge to guide you with any questions you may have. And you can also visit their website for testimonials on balanceofnature.com. So take steps to give yourself better overall health and call them now, toll free, at 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751, or go to balanceofnature.com right now. Make sure to let them know you heard it here by using promo code TALK for a special discount. That's balanceofnature.com and use promo code TALK.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Tonight, we're talking about the new game. It's called Modern Masters. Our guest tonight, Mary Gabrielle and John Lund of Modern Masters. Right now, we're speaking with Mary Gabrielle. And this is our presentation of a real game changer. And it is this game, Modern Masters. Go check it out right now, modernmasters.org. Use the promo code F2BACON. I just found out during the break, it's not case sensitive. F2BACON. You're going to get 3 months free for both the ally and the mentor levels with that code, F2BACON. So go and register and get started on the game and get your avatars going. Mary, this is where I want to go now. The gathering, the chosen, and Modern Masters. This has the potential of being huge, right? I'm talking a game-changing platform here, and it has all of those elements. But I want to talk about the consciousness side of this. It's ambitious for you to put this together for the people that are going to participate in this to go out and change the world. Ambitious, but that's the goal, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to someone last night who may be helping us with one of our through a mentor designing a quest for us about the vampire soul line. And we were talking about what's truly revolutionary. And we were discussing, technology. I absolutely adore technology. And about all the things that, the way it just keeps increasing at exponential rates. And we really honed in on the fact that just because things improve doesn't equate to revolutionary. Things like the internet revolutionized because it changed a whole mindset. And every generation that comes into incarnation now won't know a world where they can't connect across the world instantaneously. So it changes the whole psychology of a generation and every generation thereafter. It's truly revolutionary. Whereas you might have a cure for a disease, and that's absolutely wonderful, and I'm all for that, of course, but it doesn't revolutionize entire generations' psychic thinking, psychology. So we were kind of playing around with what's in the future that's going to revolutionize us. And I had to agree with her that serious AI developments could revolutionize the world, because if the robots in every household and they're lifelike that could change the social system. We agreed that, almost longevity being increased dramatically would have a revolutionary effect. And then I said, hey, how about magic? I mean, what if magic were actually respected? And when I say magic, I mean all kinds of spiritual gifts. I just like the term magic. It's just wonderful to me. Well, if magic could gain respect and be taken out of the, hidden corners it's been kept in and become a part that's respected to how power is accomplished and how you lead your life successfully, it would be revolutionary. I think we've already seen huge growth in that area because it's so different now than 50 years ago, for example. But we really could do more with that.
And it's going to happen. It has to. The game is truly revolutionary. It's game changing. And we've named our network the Game Changer Network for good reason. Now, and we did that a few years ago. Now, I hear Game Changer every time I turn on a television or I turn on the radio or I see an ad placed, right? I see it. But people get what that term means. And it applies to modern masters. And if you were going to right now, tell someone why they should participate in the game and why the game may be for them, what would you say?
That is a very good question. Well, I think this has been hard for us because Modern Masters has its own life, a little bit separate of the Immortals Project. And so we've been trying to design the pages and the message to relate to people like the Immortals Project did. But we have so much information to convey to them about Modern Masters, and it's so complex, that we haven't quite reached that sweet spot yet, where it feels very personal, but it's also revealed that it's complicated and lifelong, and marvelous. So we're kind of reaching for that and striving for that. I think that when we reach this point that people that go to the site feel a personal connection, that's the answer, because I truly believe people that will become involved in this are already called.
Right.
They're chosen for this incarnation, and they will simply recognize it. I don't even know how they will. I can't tell you. Some will dream about it first. Some will just have a good feeling. Some will say, this is interesting. But there's something that will resonate in the people who take part in it, and it's a vibration. It's like a lock and a key, and that's who will feel they are to be a part of it.
And everybody is connected. That's the other part. You have this neural direct connection that happens through the internet, where the goals, the ideas, the brain power, the esoteric, I don't want to use the word ESP, but you can kind of apply that here, where everybody will start to get together as a collective and be connected through the internet. And electronically, something happens between brains, emotions, and consciousness. And that is a part of this game that I think can't be denied. It's ambitious, but that ultimately could be what happens here, isn't it?
Yes, it's spooky action at a distance. It's this pure form of entanglement. Absolutely.
Right.
And it's not for everyone. I mean, really, you should have seen the hoops I made people jump through way back in the day to even get an application approved. I mean, believe me, it was the antithesis of user-friendly. It was crazy. And so I think that should be stated, too. This is not for everyone. This is for the people who feel that resonance. And you don't need that many people to, I mean, relatively speaking, the world's 7 billion. We don't need 7 billion people. Do you know what 100,000 people can do working synergistically?
Right.
Because energy is exponentially increased. It's not cumulatively increased. So 3 people become the energy of 9, and 9 people become the energy of 81. So, it's completely phenomenal what the people that will become modern masters will do. They will take the new positions of power in the world. This is what the vision showed me 20 years ago. they will become the new world leaders.
And so also, and it's pretty interesting that you directly say, look, if you don't feel chosen, if you don't feel attracted to the game, fine, right? Because it's just not for everyone, right? And if you get somebody that's involved with, where's the action? I need guns. Right, you know what I mean,
right.
And it's just not for you. I mean that is the vibe that is not needed for the game. It's the exact opposite. You need the ones that feel like they're here for a purpose, a goal, and they are chosen. And like minds think alike, and that's what we need at Modern Masters. All others need not apply.
True, and when I say chosen, I don't mean to imply any kind of elitism, or that they have to know they've done phenomenal, magical things. It's much subtler than that. They know, and if they're listening now, they know. That's all it is. It's like a whisper, and they will know. They don't have to prove themselves. They will just resonate.
Now, the website is complex. We're going to have John here in a few minutes, and we'll get into the technical side of things. But the website, I've spent a lot of time on it, and I've been trying to get it to hiccup. I've been trying to get confused. I've tried to, I've given it the real genuine smell test. The website is a work of love. It's nearly perfect, as complex as it is, and it is. It truly is. But it's thought through at so many levels. Do you understand the website? You know what I mean? It's pretty deep, and the suggestions that we're talking about here can get a little bit complex. Do you even understand the levels and what is going on?
Pretty much. I see areas that I do want to increase the ease of transition in. I'm constantly making these lists for John. Hey, somebody just coming here will never know how to get over to, B from A. We have to do something. So we're kind of going to constantly tweak it, and get the flow pattern a little better and better and better, because it's so complex. It's hard. It's hard to explain. And when we start doing it in all kinds of separate articles, it loses its beauty of holism. So we're going to get there. And I understand our overall picture and where we're heading, and the big, massive world map blueprint, I understand. So it's a matter of working, all those junctions out, and where and when they should come into play, and how they should connect, and that sort of thing.
Now, I want some of the secrets here. Okay, now I want some secrets. And, I've sat, Rita and I have sat with John and Dana for hours and hours and discussed this. And it was amazing for me to see, well, first off, they're two different personalities in Dana and John, right? Two totally different people, yes, as they should be. But John, when I talk to John, he thinks about his answer before he speaks, right? His brain is always going. Dana, on the other hand, is, right now with her answer. But you need that complex mind that John has. And he has that, I know he's listening right now going, because his ego doesn't come into play. And so I don't want to influence that at all. But what I'm going here is you need somebody to think through the game with a 3D mindset. And John has that. Okay, so that being said, with all of you, who is doing the writing? Who is writing the verbiage on the website? Because it is extremely well done.
Well, different parts. I've written quite a bit, and then different articles. Dana and I kind of share the duties there. And but the quests I've written so far, those, and once you get into the website, where like the page that describes all the features of MM22, I did all that writing. So I'm probably doing, but then I don't know. Dana's done a lot of writing too. So, but I probably have done the writing that you're seeing. The most of is probably what I've written so far.
And I was thinking it was Dana because it's how Dana speaks. But you're suggesting that the majority of it is you?
I'm trying to think because I don't want to give
credit. Right. And I don't want to do that either. I'm
trying to think of pockets inside there that Dana's worked so hard on. She has. I mean, I have been in the middle of a move, and Dana and John have worked night and day, and so I've had a little break here, and Dana's just written her heart out. So and I know Dana just handed me a very elaborate thing she's written about how to teach mentors to use the website so they can enter all their quests, and it was just beautifully done. Dana did all that. But I'm thinking the interface that you're talking about is, other than some articles that Dana's written, probably me.
And, I just suggested that John thinks in 3D. Well, Dana speaks in 3D. Yeah. You've got an amazing core team put together there. Now, a couple of other things, a couple of secrets. I want to know what M22 is. You guys talk about it a lot in Modern Masters, and you just mentioned it here before we let this get away from us. What is M22?
Well, MM22 is just the name of the site where you enter into the quote game. So modernmasters.org will be largely devoted to explanations. Like, when you go to Warcraft or Guild Wars and you have a whole site where you can pull up and read about the races or read about, skills or professions. That's a lot of information. But then if you want to play the game, you enter through a portal specifically to get into the game itself. Now, we don't have a 3D, 2D game going on or anything like that, but it's still a similar type of analogy. So to start your actual process inside of Modern Masters formally, you do go to mm22.io, which is a different portal than the modernmasters.org, which is more of an information site. And 22 is a master number, 11. So we just kind of brainstormed, what do we want to use? So that's how it came up. We came up with that.
Now, so we have, and you mentioned a little bit about this earlier, but I want to break these down. We have in the MM22 experience, we have the hero's journey. And is that directly influenced by the definition of what a hero's journey is?
Yes.
The Joseph Campbell writing of the hero's journey?
Yes. Yeah, the mythic idea that you carry, and that the hero is a reluctant hero, and the journey turns him into the hero, and that you're not a coward to be afraid. That it's bravery is defined by facing the fears and walking through them, and all those kind of principles.
Yes,
and also the idea that it is a calling. It's not for everyone. It truly is a calling to become a hero for the humanity right now.
And with the hero's journey, you're humble, you're some dude, you're on a farm, whatever. You get pulled away from home, you leave, and you have a quest, and then you come back home the hero, and you've succeeded in your quest. Like I said, the classic Joseph Campbell's definition of the hero's journey.
And it's like a little akin to the Knights of the Round Table and the Fisher King and the Percival stories. It's definitely
Star Wars.
Right. It's active.
Yes.
Very active.
And then constellations. What is that?
Constellations. All right. So that is a completely different thing. It's not a path. It's a way that maybe people even like yourself that already have an existing network in place, and you discuss things that we would generally agree with and share your interest in. And a constellation provides a way for a leader or a center of influence to come aboard with their network and introduce their network to Modern Masters. So it's just a social designation. And there's all kinds of things going to be tied into each social designation. We're doing really cool things with grouping. And the members will be in charge of their own groups, and they're going to create their own nations and their own flags and their own banners. And then it's going to translate to real world. So it's really going to be fun. So constellations is just one of those types of designations.
And then you have the magic.
The magic. Okay, well, we just aren't going to deny that this is kind of a spiritually based magical program. So if you have, if you're skeptical but you want to find out more, it's perfectly healthy and fine. But if you know darn well that there is no such thing as what you cannot see, this just isn't the place for you, because we're going to work a lot with developing your skill to harness what you can't see and use it in your life, and then use it for all of us.
Do you think that everybody has
to incorporate that?
Right. Do you think everybody has that inside of them?
Yes, but I think some people are more attuned to it. I think some souls are even more advanced. I think it ties in again to the calling idea. So again, I don't fault anyone that doesn't want to use that or believe that, because it's just not their time. But I think the potential, if you look at the whole evolution of one soul, the potential will eventually show up for them to use that.
Will the participation in Modern Masters help somebody to grow that side of them and recognize it and allow them to expand on that?
Absolutely. That's one of our primary goals. Yes.
And what about I'm thinking I want to say this right. Underneath that, like, magic heading, because it's so broad, right? It goes so wide. And then you have different subcategories that could possibly fall into that. And then what about the pure fantasy side of magic, with wizards and goblins and fairies and that part of the world, the fantasy part of the world? Could you expand on that too as well?
Yes, and this down yet another rabbit hole. I'm personally, I can't speak for Dana and John. We're all individuals here, but I personally believe that those kind of archetypes are not accidental. I call them spiritual overlays. And I believe people have experienced lifetimes, either in parallel worlds or prior lifetimes, as those things. And so when they're really drawn to elves, or they're really drawn to fairies, or they're Etherian and they believe they shape-shift into werewolves, I think this has deeper roots in their souls than we give it credit for. So I think that we can treat it lightly, and people that want to stay on the surface can. And people who want to go deeper with it, there's a path for that. And we can explore why. Why are you so in tune with griffins or unicorns, dragons? Why?
Right.
And we'll explore why. Mm-hmm.
And then not the ultimate goal of the game, but a huge chunk of this community can go out and start to explore and apply the ideas of, say, free energy, or getting off of the petrodollar and trying to figure out how we can start to clean up and put this planet together. We have that, which is such a fringe topic to the rest of the world, but for us, this is what we discuss every day on the show.
Exactly. That's the real truth. So, this dedication to truth, as close as we can get to it, is central to us. And it's all been hidden from us, and it's been we've been propagandized up the kazoo, and we're just, we're reaching tipping points. It's really interesting to watch this. There's more people than ever calling the mainstream media out on the carpet, and we're making cracks. The cracks are appearing in this globalist cabal structure that really we haven't seen. We haven't seen in probably 2,000 years. Here we are, and we're at war. Right now we're at war. Humans are at war for which direction they will go. This is a big time right now, and it's already happening. And the people that are here to save us and take us where we should be are already here. They're already planted here.
Yeah.
And I also include extraterrestrials in this.
Well,
I believe
that's
they're
where
here, and I believe they...
Yeah, that's where I was going next. And before we run out of time, this game, this participation, this community that you're trying to put together, this is exactly what the cabal needs to fight, right? This is exactly, this is the opposite of what they want to see, isn't it?
That's right.
Now,
That's right. I've actually had conversations with insiders who, I had an ex-CIA agent who worked for the director of the Mossad. And years ago, we went over a lot of these things. He said, Mary, you could be in danger for this. You don't understand.
Yeah.
And I haven't even told you things that I would have told him. And I was wiretapped. I had all my internet tapped for several years. Yeah.
And then we have the ET question and disclosure that are elements of this game and goals as well.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And we believe in an alliance with those extraterrestrial and interdimensional beings that are on our side and want to see humans evolve in the right direction, spirit of light.
Are you guys prepared for the growth that is potentially going to happen over the next few months?
Well, this has been something that has closed me down before. That's what happened. But I was a one-man show. I couldn't handle the influx and the emotion of it. That's why we're just working frantically behind the scenes to get everything we can in place to handle that growth. And we're just going to have some faith that the members themselves, this is their calling. They'll even provide answers we can't even foresee. These are, and children recognize this. I had a YouTube video that a friend of mine was playing, and her grandson walked through the room, and he was about 7. He said, "Whoever that is, she's talking about me." So
really?
It's powerful. I just got to do more to help Dana and John get this message out, so that we can hit it from all sides, and the message becomes clearer and clearer to people interested.
I'm really excited about this, Mary. Now, you mentioned the MM22 site as well, but the main site is modernmasters.org, right?
Right. That would be where you want to go if you want to do reading about more and more of it. If you're ready and you say, hey, I want to just experiment with this and join a path, I think John has it set up that you can start direct. Maybe not. Maybe you do have to sign up first through modernmasters.org. He can tell you that. But he did tell me today that if you sign up under either ally or seeker or mentor, it will redirect you to the MM22 page where you actually start your first path choice. So you will get there. So it could be that you can't go directly there yet. This is a good question for John.
Yeah, I'll wait for John right after the break. Thank you so much, Mary. Good luck. This is a real game changer, and it's ambitious, and I can tell that it comes from the heart. And this is nothing but something that comes from a really, really good place. Congratulations on the launch. Exciting days are ahead. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you. Mary Gabrielle, everybody. Modern Masters. I believe you can just go to modernmasters.org and click on the Join Us at the top, and you can use the promo code F2BACON for both the ally and mentor levels with that code. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back with John Lund. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Do you know what's in your body soap? Well, I didn't know the answer until about 5 years ago when I looked at the label of my soap and was shocked to see all the chemicals. For my entire life, I had been assaulting the largest organ of my body, my skin, and to think my children were using it too. Well, a lot has changed since then. Today, my family and I operate Stone City Farms, where we make and sell all natural goat milk soap using fresh goat milk from goats we raise on our farm. Our mission at Stone City Farm is to produce high-quality, all-natural goat milk soap for people who want a fresh, unrefined, natural product. At Stone City Farms, we offer scented and unscented soaps and a signature line of gift sets customizable to your needs. To see what our customers are saying, go to StoneCityFarm.com. Use the code NATURAL for a 20% discount. That's StoneCityFarm.com, code NATURAL for 20% off your order. You never know what could be hiding in your soap.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Would you like relief from muscle pain, headaches, and discomfort to sleep better, have more energy during the day, and just feel naturally amazing? Fibromalic can help. Its blend of malic acid and magnesium can provide pain relief and comfort for those who experience fibromyalgia. It helps your body absorb more oxygen, and it works quickly for a significant reduction in pain within 48 hours, all without a prescription. Ask for Fibromalic at health and vitamin shops or shop fibromalic.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Teppy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Modern Masters at ModernMaster22 on Twitter. And Modern Masters is a game changer. That's what the Game Changer Network was built to do, was to introduce game changers to the world. We've been doing that, and this is our first introduction to the world on what we are about and how this network is going to start to expand. And this portion of the show is brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. It's dark, it's complex, it's smoky. It is. It really is. I'm drinking it right now. Every time I say Fade to Black, I say River Moon. Something triggers in my brain. It says, you got to take a sip. Yeah, it's unprofessional. I don't care. It's the best coffee in the world. And go to the Fade to Black blend banner over on our website and use the promo code F2B blend. You're going to get 15% off of your order. Now, continuing, John Lund graduated with a BA in philosophy from USC in 2007, and then he got himself an MA in philosophy, double major, and interactive media design from San Francisco State University in 2015. John deals with the challenges inherent in bringing any visionary project successfully to the world. He brings a wealth of diverse experience in digital technologies, educational theory, philosophy, self-development, and most importantly, critical thinking. Throughout his life, issues of spirituality have always been present, and since he accepted his role as a leader in Modern Masters, they have taken the front seat. Now, he spends his time building the network both in this world and those in beyond. Of course, the website is modernmasters.org, and I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, John Lund. John, good evening, my friend.
Jimmy, it's great to be here.
John, you've launched it.
I know. It's been a long time running since we first started talking about this to get it up and running.
How do you feel?
It's great. It's exciting. I mean, it's just as you've heard now, talking about some of the visionary parts of it. It's just the beginning, though. You know, we're just at the first step.
The platform itself is solid. How do you feel about the platform? Is it, after going through and getting a degree in this, right, and studying gaming and technology and what is successful and what is not, and how to build a platform, are you happy with how things are today?
So I actually did the double major at USC. So I studied video game design at USC, interactive media. And so I've been doing this for 10, 15 years professionally in various levels of different companies, startups, corporations. And there's a couple different ways to answer that question. One of the ways to answer it is the technical answer. And the technical answer is yes. I've spent a ton of time making sure that this thing can handle, you asked Mary if we're going to be able to handle the growth, and the answer technically is absolutely. We spent a lot of time, a lot of money building the infrastructure to handle growth. The other aspect of the question is about the system itself. I think that we are, like I said, in the very first stages of it, and there's so much more potential that we want to accomplish. And that's something that's going to come from us over the next few months, and hopefully from our members. I spoke about this before, that we're building this kind of with an open source model where we're co-creating this platform to be beneficial to everybody who uses it. Right? We don't want to create something that is just a money generating machine. That's never been our intention. It's about changing the world. It's about doing something positive, and it's about empowering people.
And the growth and the game itself is going to be organic to the gathering, right? The chosen.
Right. Yeah. So when we first started talking about this, there was so much confusion about whether it was a game or not, and we started to settle on this idea of what we're calling meta reality, because it's a word that isn't used very often. I think we've coined it actually, the meta reality game, and that gives us the ability to define it, right? And what we're trying to do is we're trying to define this idea that there's a spiritual part of it. It's about accepting that there's a non-physical world that is around us, that's affecting us, and that we can affect it. So it's meta reality in the sense that it's bigger than the physical reality that we're so accustomed to. And part of the project is helping the world start to understand and respect that other world, right? That other spiritual, or whatever it may be, non-physical, metaphysical energy field that runs between us and throughout us. And part of this is trying to help everybody, including ourselves, understand how that works and what we can do with it, and how we can live more harmonious lives and be more successful and be happier and be stronger.
And what's really interesting here is, and I heard Mary say quantum entanglement, right? that just right. Makes me so happy. But isn't it funny that it took technology like this and a platform like this to introduce to the world not only the possibilities of other things going on out there, but proof of other things going on out there that our elders and previous civilizations already knew about. And here we've come full circle, and now this introduces that entire concept to a brand new generation that understands technology, and the possibility of spirituality and consciousness and changing the world are real things, and they can participate to do this, and then maybe invite in quantum entanglement and the connection and communication at that level. Pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, right? So I did my thesis on the idea of science versus pseudoscience. And what I learned was that there's no reason why certain research fields are considered pseudoscientific. It's all cultural bias. And this is where we've been misled by the powers that be, right? It's a form of control, right? If you keep away the knowledge and the history of the human culture, the human race, what we've accomplished throughout thousands of years, you hide that from us, then it's our history, right? It's our power that is being taken away from us, and we're allowing it to happen. And I think that technology is at the point right now where we have the ability to kind of break free from that and create our own, or recapture our own history and recapture all this knowledge and all this power that's been hidden, that's been manipulated, that's been discredited for no reason.
The way that your mind works, I find it interesting because, first off, if you're in game design and coding and computer languages, that is a complex thing that a lot of us don't even understand, and it's a true gift to be able to take a vision and apply that into another reality on a gaming platform. But it's a whole nother situation where you have a mind that is accepting and realizing that there is another world out there, right? And do those two mindsets, do those two brains clash with each other? It doesn't seem like it should work, but do you fight it?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You're ones and zeros. And then that's a reality thing that's supposed to happen in certain ways. But then when we're talking about magic or ET or ghosts or the paranormal, that's a whole nother thing. And you have to think about both of those and believe in those. Do they clash?
In some ways they do, but Jimmy, the farther I get into this project and the more I learn about some spiritual traditions and magical traditions, the more I think that they don't clash as much as we think they do, or as much as maybe we've been told that they do. I think that like what I'm working on now in my research is I think that there are possibilities for applying the scientific method to these things that are happening to people around the world, and some people have pioneered that. David Wilcott comes to mind immediately of his research into source field investigations, right? People are starting to apply the scientific method in a really comprehensive way to some of this phenomenon that's occurring. And I think that's where we're moving, right? I think that's one part of this piece of this puzzle that's going into this kind of mass acceptance of, okay, there is something spiritual in the world. And what's interesting to me is, if you go onto the street and you ask somebody if they've ever had an experience they can't explain, the vast majority of people are going to be like, yeah. And then you say, do you believe in magic or do you believe in spirituality? And people will be like, no, none of that is real. And there's some weird dichotomy that's happening in people's minds, kind of a thing that you could just explain to me, that there's a clash between technology or ones and zeros and metaphysics and spirituality and psychic phenomenon. And I don't know if that's truly the case or if that's something that's just a superficial kind of cultural bias.
Well, I know that you listen to the show a lot, and you know that I've been talking about quantum entanglement, quantum theory, and qubits and parallel worlds and non-local activity, right? I talk about this a lot. But this is something, Modern Masters is exactly what I and Silicon Valley right now is interested in and is talking about. Do you think that Modern Masters is going to help propel the many worlds and parallel universe and that part of quantum theory? And some of this could be an accident, but could ultimately end up proving the many worlds theory?
I can't speak specifically to an individual theory, right? I don't want to say that we're going to prove that theory, but to answer the first question, absolutely. One of my visions of Modern Masters is this synergistic community of people that want to learn more about this and research these fields. And part of that is absolutely into free energy and quantum entanglement, all this stuff that's currently breaking down our current scientific understanding, right? So everybody in science currently has to believe science is based on the fact that nothing can travel faster than light, but it's been proven without a doubt a few months ago that things can travel faster, information can travel faster than light, right? So science currently is at a breaking point, right? It just can't handle the new information that's coming into it. And there has to be a new organization or a new system that's able to pick up the pieces that work and develop a new scientific model. And if Modern Masters can contribute to that in any way, that's one of my visions for it.
It's interesting. I just watched Dana use hive mind in a tweet right here. Well done, Dana, because the hive mind and that concept, when we are talking about here with Modern Masters, the Chosen, the Gathering, that's exactly the product of the game. You know what I mean? And if that happens electronically through the internet and through the ability to communicate, what a force that would be to contend with, right? I mean, you guys would almost be unstoppable.
Well, yeah, and that's interesting. I do want to say something about that. I think that you're absolutely right. In one sense, we want to harness this power we're calling synergy, and you could call it hive mind. You could call it people that connect with technology, and then suddenly there's another connection that exists between them in another form of energy, perhaps,
right?
Telepathy or some spiritual energy.
Right.
But the other thing that's very essential to our project is privacy. That there are going to be built-in controls and rules that ensure that people have access or have maintained the privacy that they want to maintain. So while we are seeking to utilize the positive aspects of the idea of a hive mind or synergistic collaboration, we at the same time are fundamentally respect individual privacy and sovereignty.
Now, your mom brought up Mary, your mom. Well, okay, yeah, the truth is out. She brought up, and it's expressly written and suggested on the Modern Master site, that when you start to build your character, your avatar, that you build it around yourself. And be true to self, because that's what makes you unique into the game, and everybody else that is there is unique. What would be the problem with somebody going completely whack and creating an avatar that was the opposite of them? What's the danger in that?
Well, it's interesting because I don't think we're going to ever put on any controls that say, you know, we're not going to say, oh, you chose this thing, but actually we think you're something else. And I think the idea of somebody putting up something that is completely opposite of themselves is almost impossible, right? In some way, in that psychological way, right? Because if somebody comes on, they create this. Let's just say gender different character for the obvious example. They create a female character when they're actually a male. You know, there's some part of them that wants to put that out there, you know, and there may be some spiritual aspect of it that they have a past life as a female or whatever it may be. And so I don't know if that's another problem either. I mean, I think that the other part of this is that it's a spiritual representation of yourself, right? So it's not that it has to match your physical attributes or your physical characteristics, but it's how you see yourself physically, and that may be spiritually, and that may be very different than your physical body. You know, you may think that you're a female fairy when in your real life you're a Viking, a strong Viking warrior or something, whatever it may be.
And that's what I'm referring to. What if you have somebody that is a thinker, a librarian, right? But the persona that they've created, not the physical self, the persona is this aggressive, you know what I mean, fighter. It's the exact opposite of the real persona. Is that an issue, or is that part of the psyche and your id, and maybe that's who you want to be? Not necessarily a fantasy, but maybe could be hidden attributes.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I would also go a little farther and say that it may be part of your growing process, right? Your spiritual development, that you want to experience the world through the eyes of another type of being, whatever it may be. And that's something that you wouldn't want to stop somebody to do, right? I read a couple years ago T.H. White's Once and Future King, where Merlin is teaching King Arthur. And one of King Arthur's initial lessons is to live life as a bird, or live life as a fish. And I think that those are powerful tools for understanding oneself, right? If you suddenly go out into the world and you are a different person than you are in your normal life, then all of a sudden you are experiencing things that you've never experienced before.
With Modern Masters, if you had free reign, and I know how you grew up, but if you had free reign, just like the blank check scenario, is this the game that you would do? Is this your legacy?
Years ago, people asked me, and Dana actually asked me this years ago, what I wanted to do with my life, what I wanted to accomplish. And I can't speak for when I was young or whatever, but in my adult life, my dream for what I wanted to do was to, whatever maybe prove or teach that the magical world exists. And it certainly is a product of my environment, as far as being raised in a household that explored these ideas from the day I was born, almost. But I feel that there's so much that we as a species are disconnected from, because we don't think that there is a world bigger than the physical world. A funny anecdote: we were with somebody, and he said that he made this joke that all these scientists are trying to communicate with figure out how to communicate with extraterrestrials, but we don't even know how to communicate with the animals that are on our world, right? We can't communicate in any significant way with the creatures that we live among every day. And I think that that's just one aspect of the vast, part of our environment that we're missing out on, right? If you could learn somehow to go out into the world and communicate with the flowers or communicate with the birds, I think those things are possible, and I think that it's a travesty that we don't have access to them.
It's a very interesting concept. I think I've just stolen that from you. So the next time you hear me speak and I say that, you can nudge the person next to you and go, dude, he stole that from me. Because that is actually very well said. I had a couple of other ideas for you, but I've just changed plans. So I'm going to keep you on after the break, because I want to talk about some logistics. I want to talk about the code that you provided us, what those levels are, how people can go and get started, and you can talk people through that, and we'll get to those ideas. Okay, so that's it. Your evening is shot out. You're going to spend the rest of it with me. But before we get to the break, the ET side of this, right, the disclosure side, is something that you have discussed with Rita and I from day one when you guys first set out with the concept for this game. So for the listeners, explain how you've built this into the game and what they can expect from that.
Sure. So it's a essential aspect of it, because similarly, I think that there are. There's a point that Tom DeLonge said that I really resonated with me, and he said that the universe is teeming with life, right? And I feel that to be true. I feel that not only on our dimension but on other dimensions, we're only scratching the surface of what we consider to be a life form, right? And I think that the ET aspect of it is much more complex than we currently understand, and I'm grateful to you and many of the people, the researchers that you have on your show, that are working very, very hard to understand that more and to break that into the light of day so that we can understand it better. And that's part of another aspect of it, right? So before, when I was talking, another aspect of Modern Masters, before when I was mentioning about how we want to encourage research into spirituality, that's absolutely part of it. I find that to be coextensive. It's the same thing. ET and spirituality are I think different aspects of the same phenomenon that we've been hidden, that have been hidden from us and have been controlled so that we don't understand the powers that we have through our own consciousness, through our own mental abilities. It's all part of the same thing, and absolutely it's fundamental to the project because it's so fundamental to our species. It's the same idea of being able to communicate with the plants around you is being able to communicate with interdimensional or extraterrestrial beings that want to teach us, that want to share with us, that want to coexist with us in a positive way. And
have you seen something strange in the sky that you can't explain?
I've had a number of experiences that haven't specifically seen that. Well, that's not true. I mean, I've seen lights in the sky. Nothing that was really powerful to me as a UFO or UAF. But I've had a lot of personal experiences. A lot of it happens maybe because of my ancestry in dreams. Things that can't be denied as far as real dreams. For example, I was traveling recently with Dana, and we were in near Crestone, Colorado, on the UFO highway there, and we were sleeping at a hot springs in a teepee. And I woke up in the middle of the night after having this very powerful dream about being in communication with extraterrestrials, and I was I don't want to say. Well, I'll say what it felt like. It felt like I was having a seizure. It felt like my body was not under my control. And it lasted 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And it ended, and then suddenly there was a black helicopter flying over our tent, our teepee. And I've had a number of experiences like that have shaken me. Very powerful experiences that you can't be denied as being something not from this world.
Yeah, there is definitely something going on out there. And so you're out in the middle of nowhere and you have that type of experience, and then there's a black helicopter over the teepee. That's that's pretty trippy. All right, let's take a break right here. When we come back, our guest is John Lund of Modern Masters. When we come back, I'm going to take everybody with John through getting signed up using the promo codes and what the different levels are. And we'll take care of all of that so everybody can get signed up tonight. Guest John Lund. We just had on Mary Gabrielle, Modern Masters, Game Changers. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter,
but listening to Jimmy Church will.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. Best thing I ever got in my... It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Call now, 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code TSL.
Would odors, mold, and mildew describe your basement or crawl space? It doesn't have to be that way. Transform them into a fresh, healthy, usable one with the technologically advanced Wave moisture control units. The computerized operation maximizes moisture control and also expels harmful radon, combustion gases, and numerous other pollutants. Dehumidifiers are old technology that do nothing for air quality and waste energy. Wave units are intelligent, self-monitoring, do not need maintenance, and will save you hundreds in electricity. Wave units are still running effectively over 15 years. They've been tested and installed in public and military housing and by property managers nationwide. Buy a unit now, and if your home is not fresher and drier, you can return it for a full refund for up to 12 months. What have you got to lose? Call now. 1-888-618-WAVE. 1-888-618-WAVE. Or visit mydryhome.com. That's mydryhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
This is Kristen, Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow John Lund and the rest of the crew over at Modern Masters at Modern Masters 22. All right, so John, let's go through this getting registered and what is involved here. Now, can you do it directly through modernmasters.org?
Yeah, you could do it through both mm22.io, mm22.io or modernmasters.org. If you start on mm22.io, it's going to push you back at a point to to modernmasters.org. Sorry, I got something in my throat. One second.
Poor John. Live radio. Now he knows what it's like to have something. You know, that's why in radio we do have cough buttons, right? You have to have it because it happens. And so there you go. All right, so y'all better now?
I am. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's stay with modernmasters.org. We don't have the links up. To modernmasters.org. Let's deal with that because those are the links that we have up. Okay?
Yeah.
So registering there, we have the F2 bacon, which is not case sensitive, right? And also, there's no pound sign there. I don't know how that got started. It's just F2, F and the number 2 and bacon, BACON, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you go to modernmasters.org, you're going to go, like you said, the top, you can click Join Us. It'll take you to the membership levels page. We have a free level membership, the Seeker, the Ally, which is $5 a month. or Mentor, which is $11 a month.
Now let's talk about the differences between Ally and Mentor, because this promo code will give you the choice of either Ally or Mentor. So what are the difference between the two? What is an Ally?
So an Ally is pretty much a full access game player. They have access to everything. They have access to all of the current features available and in the future, as far as the gameplay is concerned. The Mentor level membership, what's different with that is that's designed for people that want to start teaching something or creating a kind of a more public persona, maybe, on the system. Basically, mentors have the ability to have a special profile that describes their abilities or their skills that they want to teach, and they also have the ability to write quests, which are part of the gameplay. So a mentor has the ability to write a quest that will be integrated into the Modern Masters game, and that will be able to be played by allies and seekers. In some cases, seekers have restricted access to different things, where allies have full access.
Now, and that's interesting. And also, you have an alternative currency. Very interesting. So, What is that?
Yeah, so the alternative currency is simple at the moment. We call them credits, and basically anything that happens on this site is given a point value, right? So this is part of the gamification that Mary mentioned. You know, we're using game elements to move the story and the progression along. It's very common with learning systems, right? You know, there's a Duolingo is this learning app that you get points and you get rewards for learning a new language, and that's kind of part of that is that, you know, when you complete a quest or when you complete a task or you upload a picture of your avatar or you write a description of your avatar, you get points, and you can use those points in a lot of different ways. At the moment, the points can be given to people, and they can also be, different quests can be assigned different point values. And then the next thing that we're building is what we're calling the Lotus Concordia, the Lotus collaboration platform. And what that will be is a kind of alternative currency production network or creation network, where anybody who's part of the network can put up a project that they want to get completed, and they can use these credits to pay people, right? So if you want to, let's go through an example. If you wanted to, if you were a yoga teacher and you wanted to create a course in yoga, but you wanted to make it really interactive and you wanted to put up videos and audio, you may not have the technical skills to do that, but somebody else on the network might. So you could put out this request for help to people to create a yoga video for you. And you break it down into little bite-sized pieces, and you say, okay, this piece is worth 5 credits, this piece is worth 10 credits. And you earn the credits because people are using your course, right? So you're a mentor and you're selling your course, for lack of a better word, for 50 credits. And you're earning these credits, which you can then spend, you can give to other people to help you create more content for your course. So it's this exchange mechanism that works within the network, and is basically just separating production and creation and collaboration from a currency that's controlled by, I think, a system that is not benefiting us, right? So, and this goes a little bit beyond the discussion, but Modern Masters we're building as a completely open source network. So once you are a part of the platform and you get to a certain level of kind of reputation points, then you have the ability to work with the entire community to create the network in the way that you think it will work the best, right? So if you think, for example, that there should be interest charged on credit transactions or something like that, you can propose that to the community, and the community will deliberate that. And if we accept that as a community as something that benefits everyone within the platform, then that would be incorporated into the programming.
Now, I am registering right now, okay? And
yeah, let's go back.
Yeah, I'm actually registering. So let me go ahead and get registered. But once I go through the registration process, creating my avatar, is that the next step?
The next step is we put you right into the quest, the first path quest. So the first thing that you'll do once you register is start on your first path, and you'll get your first mission. Or you'll choose your path, and then you'll get your first mission.
Okay. Well, I'm finishing my registration process right now. I'm doing this live. You know, it's kind of funny. Rita, I wanted to do this with you. Rita goes, I don't know if you want to do this live. But I'm interested, as with everybody. I want to go through this process and get this worked out. So once I go, that's it. I'm in. Okay, enter MM22. So once you get registered, I am here, and then it just simply takes you straight into the game. Wow, I'm all excited. Okay, here we go. Okay, all right.
And you should be on the Great Gathering.
Yes, I am. I am there.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to click on anything yet because I actually want to go and start to play the game for real. Now, I also entered my screen name as Jimmy Church. Now, everybody's going to know who I am, aren't I? Or aren't they?
Right, yeah.
Should I change it to something else like Ben Gespit?
Well, Jimmy, that's the point of it. Is it's up to you, right? So there are people there that have a name. I mean, so somebody that is a teacher in the real world might sign up here and use their name, whatever it may be. We don't force anybody to use their real names or not. It's totally up to you. As you know, maybe you want to take on the persona of somebody that is totally different than you are right now, and you have the freedom to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a beautiful website, man. I mean, this is really, really well done. I am fully jealous. I mean, it's gorgeous, man. And I want to congratulate you. Everybody, just go through the steps that I just did live on the air. It took me literally 60 seconds to get registered and get in, and I am right there. Let the great gathering begin. Welcome, dear master. And I'm looking at the quest right in front of me. I've got a whole list of stuff to go and do and make choices. It's pretty funny because at the very top, it simply says, and I love it, choices must be made before it's too late. Well
Absolutely,
done.
But that's real too, right? I mean, I think that as Mary was saying, and as we talked about before the break, that I think we're at a turning point, and I think that people out there are feeling it, and that's the thing. Choices must be made before it's too late, and if we don't make the choices right now, I think that we're going to be we're going to suffer the consequences of not making those choices, right?
Yep, and I'm totally excited to have the Fadernauts involved and to have Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network involved, and I just can't wait to see how things evolve, and like both organically and in real time, and the communication through Twitter and also through this show is going to be pretty cool in the future. And I want to thank you for all of the hard work, and Dana and Mary. It's absolutely a labor of love, and very exciting times are ahead. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you for all the work that you guys do as well, you and Rita.
Oh, man, the pleasure is all ours, and I do mean that. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you, Fadernauts out there.
Yeah, you got it, John. Thank you. They thank you. John Lund, everybody. modernmasters.org. The promo code is F2BACON. Very simple. I just did it. I'm in. I got to go change my name now because you guys are going to mess with me. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'll be right back with all the news that you know nothing about. Stay with me.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. Let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply and, of course, the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthetea.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic, and very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Again, getthetea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station where the Fade-or-Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Manson. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Fade to Black. I want to thank Mary and John of Modern Masters. And this is the first introduction of what we are about. And that is the Game Changer Network. Modern Masters are game changers. Be looking for many, many, many more. We're going to expand the network. Just go now. modernmasters.org. F2BACON is the promo code. Sign up to be an ally or a mentor. I would suggest ally. Just go with ally. Just go with ally. Get the game going. That's what I did ally, by the way. I'm not smart enough to be a mentor. Not just yet. Game changers, Modern Masters. All right. All the news that you know nothing about, and there's a lot of stuff going on, but the question of chemtrails has always been out there. We know that they're real, and there's something going on up there. But check this out. A $20 million Harvard University project is going to send aerosol injections up into the Earth's stratosphere in the world's biggest chemtrails experience on the public to date. 2 U.S. scientists say they hope they'll solve the problem of global warming by conducting the world's biggest and most expensive solar geoengineering project within the next few weeks. The aim of the program is to establish whether chemtrail technology can simulate the atmospheric cooling effects of a volcanic eruption in a desperate attempt to halt climate change. Some things, my friends, I just can't make up. Now, the basic idea is that spraying certain types of particles into the stratosphere could help reflect more heat back into space. Scientists believe it could work because naturally it already occurs. Large volcanic eruptions in the past have blasted tens of millions of tons of sulfur dioxide into the sky, which contributed to lower global temperatures in the subsequent months. Now, man, Dane Wigington is losing his mind right now, and I can't blame him. But it's going down. This is a $20 million experiment. Holy crap. For real. Now, Blue Origin and its founder and CEO, Jeff Bezos, says that people who buy a ticket to fly on his company's space tourism vehicle, New Shepard, will need to use the bathroom before the flight. Now, check this out. And they better not get sick during the trip either, because the company has no plans to install systems to deal with human waste, bathrooms, or supply barf bags. Bezos said he is hopeful that Blue Origin will fly customers next year in 2018. He also says that they are ready to anticipate customer demand for space tourism and a possible lottery for anyone who can't afford a trip aboard New Shepard, right? They're going to give away some free tickets. Passengers will travel 62 miles above the surface of the planet, and from that altitude, they will experience weightlessness. They'll see the curve of the Earth and the darkness of space. Now, check this out. You know why there's no bathroom on board? Each New Shepard flight will last about 11 minutes. That's about $25,000 for each 60 seconds. And that's why there's no bathrooms on board. It's an 11-minute flight. You're back. But just long enough to get up there and see our glorious round globe. That's right. Well, 11 NATO and EU countries have signed up for creating a center to counter various hybrid threats, including cyber attacks and fake news, amid concern about Russia's perceived activities in Europe. The U.S., the U.K., France, Germany, Sweden, Poland, Finland, Latvia, and Lithuania signed the Memorandum of Understanding today. 4 more countries are expected to join the initiative in July. The center, which is expected to be located in the Finnish capital of Helsinki, will operate as a network of experts from participating countries and is aimed at raising awareness of hybrid threats and vulnerabilities that can be exploited in such operations. There you go, the center of fighting fake news in Helsinki, Finland. Next, a thermal tile designed for the space shuttle was stolen from the shuttle's Atlantis display exhibit at NASA's Kennedy Space Center this past Sunday, April 9th. But this particular tile was never used on a shuttle and was just for training purposes. The thermal plate is in a 6-inch square. It's a 6-inch square black tile encased in plexiglass that is used at the Kennedy Space Center for educational purposes. It has a serial number on it, and the serial number is VT70-191 with 3 additional digits that are, believe it or not, unknown. A space shuttle tile matching this description on eBay or for sale elsewhere online should be treated with suspicion and possibly reported to the authorities. So I'm saying right now, come on, Fadernauts. Let's search the net and get that tile back. Uncool. A teacher there, right, has little footprints painted around the classroom, right, where objects are placed. So when something is missing, right, you look down and you see the little white shadow, the little white footprint. And there was a crowd there, and the crowd moved from one section of the room to the other. When it did, she saw the footprint, and so she knew it was missing. So they know exactly what day and approximately what time it was taken. But who is going to steal a space shuttle tile from a classroom, and it wasn't even used on the space shuttle, right? It's pretty uncool. So, you guys, all of you Fadernauts out there, just do a little search on the internet. The next thing you know, one of us is going to find it, and we'll let them know. Man, that's just uncool. And I hope it was just some kid that didn't know what they were doing, just lost control of themselves. Let's hope that that's what it is. But if it shows up on eBay, that's just negative. All right, agents. Oh, man, I've got some really cool stories here. I got to get to all of it. Agents with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives used a secret off-the-books bank account to rent a $21,000 suite at a NASCAR race. They took a trip to Las Vegas, and they donated money to the school of one of the agents' children. Agents also used the account to finance undercover operations around the country, despite laws prohibiting government officials from using private money to supplement their budgets. It goes a little bit more beyond that, but the point is they used a secret bank account to go and party and get a $21,000 suite at a NASCAR race. It's a secret account, but they got caught. There's more to this, and some other things are going to get implicated over the next week or so, and I will report all of them straight back to you. Well, the headlines around the world on all of the mainstream media sites, some of the alt sites, but it's out there. North Korea warned on Monday it would respond to, and I'm quoting here, reckless acts of aggression by the United States with whatever methods the U.S. wants to take as aircraft carrier strike group is headed towards the North Korean peninsula. The Pentagon is sending the 97,000-ton USS Carl Vinson with an escort of a guided missile cruiser and 2 destroyers, all with missiles on board, following another missile test by North Korea last week. Well, today, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, Fatty Fat, is expected to attend the country's Supreme People's Assembly, a high-profile gathering of the nation's leading political figures. The meeting comes days before the North Korean celebrates the April 15th birthday of Kim Il-sung. Now, do I have enough time to get this last story in? Because this one's good. You gotta love it. An aspiring rapper jumped into the ocean to avoid paying for his massive seafood dinner at a restaurant in Australia. Terry Peck, who goes by the name Tupac, was dining at Maine Beach's O'Meara's Brothers restaurant in Queensland on Sunday when he racked up a $450 bill. Right? Well, his meal allegedly included 2 lobsters, 17 oyster shooters, a baby octopus, and several beers. When he found out how much the bill was, he allegedly sprinted from the restaurant to the beach and then swam into the ocean. 2 police officers jumped on a jet ski to get him back to shore. He was arrested and charged with theft. He appeared on court on Monday and claimed he left the restaurant before paying the bill to help a friend who was about to give birth on the beach. But then he also said that the food was overpriced and complained that the lobsters were overcooked. There you go. This is Fade to Black. I want to thank Mary, Gabrielle, and John Lund of Modern Masters for coming in tonight. They are true game changers. Just go to modernmasters.org. Sign up. The promo code is F2BACON. Become an ally or a mentor, and you get 3 months right there. All right? Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul and Mark D. Kovar. Thanks to LJ3, Renee, Jonas, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is only copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Until tomorrow night, our guest is Beth Leone. I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.